Right. So we have an interesting topic, and what we discussed. I'm not going to moderate this. Right. We are all going to ask each other questions. I'll set the context actually by saying, we have, like I mentioned before, we have 12.5 million retailers. So imagine the kind of power that we have over sustainability for the country. Right? Right now, 25% of carbon emissions apparently are from the retail, from the retail industry. There's so much that actually we can do for the country. And so that is something, and even in terms of customers, you see, there are even a lot of research, Nielsen research is also saying 73% of customers are willing to pay premium for companies that are sustainable. 67 are likely to recommend a brand who are sustainable. And 62% are ready to switch brands if they are sustainable. It may not sound true, because I know many people on retailing do mention the customers don't care. But research has shown this younger generation does care about the planet. And though we may think that it's going to happen sometime later, it's not going to be easy. And there are many people who have taken the lead in retail. There are brands like IKEA, like I just mentioned. There is H&M. There are so many others who have done this. But in India, there is still this perception of saying that, maybe not, later. So what are your thoughts? I mean, are we kind of ready for this? Is the ecosystem ready for this?
Okay. Hi. Hello, friends. Surender, is a very tricky question. Whether are we ready? In fact, if we have to be ready mentally, then we are ready already. Okay. It's not that there has to be any question in the mind, are we really ready? Because this question is there from many RAI sessions, maybe in-store sessions. There are many sessions happening on this. And many times, unfortunately, the crowd is less again here. So you can feel the sensitivity of the topic, how people are taking this, If it is like, yes, it is me right now, I will attend this right now. Okay. Fine, no problem. I'm not saying is in the interest of the people, but yes, in the interest of the so-called environment what we are living in, or as you said rightly, the numbers which are showing the next alpha, that's what people are in, right? Alpha, after the millennial, then there is
They have got the beta also.
Beta also, yeah. So they are showing the interest, that's fine. In fact, in some of the organizations, I happened to meet one of the employee likely to join. She asked the question to the HR head, is your company sustainable? So HR head was slightly taken aback. So what do you mean? I said, simply I am asking, are your products sustainable? Said, no. So the employer had options to say no here. I don't want to join the company because you are not sustainable. So if that is a question coming from this alpha people, yes, then I think the time is already gone. Anything to start right now is also good time. We have to start it. Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon. So absolutely, all of us lived in the illusion that global warming is something which is going to happen to future generations, but not anymore. I think since yesterday and today we are sitting in temperature which is 6 degrees above normal in Mumbai. Pollution, as usual, everyone knows, is beyond any normal day. So this is reality, and whatever we need to do it now. And the awareness is there. I think the problem I see is people don't know how to go about doing it. I think that has to be more clear. But yes, it's a need of today. I also think this, the CSR initiative where companies are given some incentive to boost their CSR, and people are trying to align that initiative with sustainability, or whether they can bring in, align both the agendas together. I think that also is bringing in a little more awareness.
So I think interestingly, if you look at this, what it says, the greatest threat to our planet is the belief that someone else will save it. So everybody is waiting for somebody else to come from somewhere and save it. And Robert Charles, of course, he's a huge proponent of saving the earth. He's an environmental, what do you call that, activist. So he says, look, everybody I talk to is saying, yeah, I'm doing my job. Somebody else is going to come and do it for me. So companies are looking at specialists and consultants to come from outside and kind of force them to become sustainable. That's quite strange, instead of kind of taking it within your own self and trying to do what best can be done.
Yeah, I think in Surender, you work 40 years of career, right? Now?
35.
35, okay. 3 decades plus. I think, don't you feel that it is always a top-down thing which has to come from maybe a owner of the company or the managing director who has to decide? If he is convinced, only then the pyramid below is convinced. Because there are a lot of people I know who want to do something, but they are already, there is a cap, how much you can do. So, with your experience also, so many companies you have seen now.
That's true. I mean, small companies, big companies, corporates, big corporates, they first say that, okay, let's do. And if you see many brands in India, they have done one store that is sustainable. There is, you would have seen the Puma store or the, which is the other one? Yeah, Godrej did one store. And then they realized that it's too much of an effort, forget about it, That was many years back, 4-5 years back, and they never took it forward. Like what, like Sudhir said, it's a top-down that you can't use it as a marketing gimmick anymore. It's something that needs to be taken up right from top-down. So you can't leave it to the projects team, wait till it comes to the CFO, there's a budget that is made and told that hey, it's going to be 10% more, and then you realize that let's junk it, let's do it some other time. That doesn't work. So I believe, because I have in my career done a couple of stores experimentally to show the management, it can be done at a lower cost. But only thing, it takes a lot more effort and one has to believe in it. But like what he said, the management never said, don't take that trouble of doing so many stores. Of that, do a couple of stores and be done with it. So it's top down. So even the new brands, unfortunately, even the newer D2C brands who are dealing with these millennials who are coming in, they might be making sustainable products, but when it comes to the store, there is still this challenge of saying that how do we go and do that. So it's a huge need.
I think it needs to be the core agenda, not an add-on agenda. Correct. So when we talk about one store being sustainable or in an entire chain of, let's say, 100 stores or whatever, that itself, I think, is defeating the purpose. I think the approach needs to be everything we do in a store build. Is that a sustainable practice? Is that the best way to do it, which, fulfills the entire, strategy towards sustainability? I think that has to be the approach. Only then you'll see, real tangible benefits come through.
So you've been in the F&B for quite, with the third wave coffee and others. What's been the practice there? Because there, hygiene, all these things, in a way, it's a huge, focus.
So I can share with you one very interesting practice which during my time there we had started. So there are a lot of coffee grounds which are generated because you're brewing coffee, and grounds which get left over after you brew the coffee, they are usually thrown in garbage, and not that they are toxic or anything, but it does have its own time to decay and become part of that. So we explored what we can do with those coffee grounds and tied up with one firm who used to collect the coffee grounds from all the stores and convert it into food safe packaging. And it was a fairly fairly decent success. The challenge then being, what is the most efficient way to collect those grounds from all the stores and send it to the recycling facility. That was just an example I thought I could share with you.
You spoke about using AI in educating or estimating, the eco-friendliness of initiatives done by companies. Could you just tell us something about that?
Yeah. Yes, in fact, it's quite a vast subject. If you talk about bringing AI into sustainability itself is a Not only I will say it's a holistic approach to look at everything, because when we talk about investing AI for the sustainability, it's not only for one store. It is for the product which is sold in the store. It is the sourcing of that product which is required to be produced at that source. So it starts from, let's say, if I want to make a suit from a sheep's back to man's back, okay? So from where it's coming, how it is scored, how it is processed, how it is cleaned, how the yarns are making, how the yarns to fabric to then final product, and then to apparel. So if you really see this journey, the sustainability approach has to be in each every step. It cannot be, okay, I'll make my store green and I'll sell my products. Your alpha guys, they will say, yeah, the product itself is not a green. What do I mean by green store here? So the holisticness, it comes throughout. That's why I said when your top-down approach is there, the understanding of buying the raw material, understanding who are your suppliers, whether there is a understanding with those suppliers also, where they should be sustainable. Otherwise, it's good to say, fine, we have done 5% of green. Let us not declare by company, okay, everything is done. So AI brings into all these things into one page. Any company, for everybody's knowledge, if they want to become really sustainable, to follow all these paths which are designed under AI. When I'm talking about AI, I worked into that field, that's why I'm talking about it right now. There are at least 1,000 questions one has to ask before going to AI also. Then there are permutations of those questions which are there. And what AI does is give you the ready-made solutions. It's nothing different what AI does. It's all coming from our intelligence only. Now, if the sources are known, if the supplies are known, if the overall approach towards the product is known, how you are going to sell that is known to you, in which bag you are going to sell that is known to you, and in the store what you are going to make that store available, if that is known to you, yes, AI will help you in minutes actually like this. That's the power. But a company has to really decide how much sustainable I want to go. You cannot just declare a marketing campaign, okay, we are sustainable. Maybe some companies, they put a solar panel and they say we are sustainable. But what is happening in your product, nobody knows actually. So if it is an entire approach, no problem. If it is a partial approach, also no problem. But let us declare, that company should declare, yeah, we are 15% sustainable, no problem. So it won't be a green wash. It will be a right approach. Yeah.
Great. And the other misconception is that if it is sustainable, it will not look good. Materials that are sustainable don't look good. I mean, is there something, I keep hearing some of my clients saying, you know, I want something very glossy, very with great, good finish. But you bring sustainable, it's going to look very rustic and old. And now it's very futuristic. You know, everybody wants to look futuristic. So is that something which I'm quite amused by that, but that's a perception. So is there something that you see in each of the industries that you worked in?
I think it's a misconception, and also I think there is good level of now a mind shift happening towards that mindset. Also, if you see the way material uses had changed over last maybe 10 to 15 years. About 15 years back, most of the woodworking was in plywood, which now has shifted to, particle board, MDF, HDF. There are even other, foam boards. Yeah. So all these materials are a lot more recyclable and lot more environment friendly during the manufacture, and also if the opportunity is to recycle them. And also the kind of finishes which are available today, acrylic finishes, PVC, gloss, and you name it, it's there. So I feel that really is breaking that perception that if it's a little more sustainable or recyclable or environment friendly, it's not going to look good. I think that's defeating. It's still there, but I think it's way reduced than what it was.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to ask Shyam, can you just give a mic? Is there an extra mic, please? So you are in the business of manufacturing fixtures. So what's the trend there? Because that is again, 25, 30% of the store budget is coming in fixtures. So what's the trend in fixture manufacturing and use by brands?
Yeah, thanks, Surender. Last 2 years, there have been a significant rise in number of customers asking for upcycled and recycled fixtures. So, I mean, we do both design to fixture development completely, but even in the design stage, a lot of customers are saying, can we do, I mean, one is, the main intention is also to cut cost and reduce the investment into the store build. But I think there's also growing empathy, I can say, or growing awareness.
When you say cut cost, by what percentage?
At least so basically if you're using an upcycled fixture, you cut down the cost by close to 50%.
Wow.
Okay, on your investment.
Wow, people don't know this. Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, there are brands which are also closing stores. We all know that if the store is not performing, the brands close the stores. And many a times, either they put it in their warehouse or they ask the manufacturer of the fixture to hold it for them. So after a year or so, they say that, okay, you try and give us some lump sum amount and you can do whatever you want. Many a times that has happened because if they are not going to expand further. So those kind of fixtures is what we are trying to see whether we can use it as a part of our design process itself or trying to build more sustainable stores when we are designing the stores, and also in the manufacturing try and cut cost and pass that on to the customer. So there's a benefit of cost, and also you're not wasting the material, otherwise which would have gone to scrap. So I think in the last 2 years we have done close to about 3 or 4 stores at least as asked by the client. The client is insisting that one is cut cost, and when we give an idea that why can't we use upcycled fixtures or recycle the fixtures, and they're very open. They're saying
this
as
is top management from the bands,
Yes.
not just the project guys.
Yeah, it's from the top management. Yes.
Very interesting. Very interesting, yeah. So I think the next level is to look at knowledge and skilling and, to tell retailers, things like this are possible. How can you be sustainable? That's a huge challenge. People don't know. They think sustainable is something which is a huge effort. You have to change track and do something else, and it's going to be very expensive, take time. So let's do it some other time when we find time. I think skilling, both from manufacturer's side, brand side, designer side, I think there is a huge gap there. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely, the gap is there. There is no special school also for teaching what do you do. If at all you have to do this, bring the sustainability into either retail or in a commercial project or a hotel project or anything. I think Shyam has given an excellent example. In fact, minimum if that is also done, you are contributing to something. It is a recyclability or reusability you use repurposing word, whatever words you want to use, you use upcycling, whatever. At least that you bring in, that first step itself is success. Next thing is the scaling of whatever materials available in the market. It's not that people feel, no, यहाँ पे कुछ मिलता ही नहीं है, nothing is available. Everything you have to get it from outside. No, it's not the thing actually. Many things are available in India also. Is because whatever the so-called sustainable promotions happening by many suppliers, I can see 50% of things coming from abroad. If I'm buying Canadian wood and I'm talking sustainable, already bringing my wood from somewhere, and why I'm talking about a sustainability, okay? I'm not against Canadian wood here, if somebody is here from that company. But the materials are very much available here. I think one of the company, I think Prerna's counterpart is here. They are also working on it very seriously, I can see their projects actually, some of them. They have specified also the materials what client will understand, and they will buy it also. And nothing is like a big wish list from abroad, something is coming from Japan or something. Everything is available here. It's just the approach and then
knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge.
It's
absolutely.
knowledge. Also, there are practices for sustainability.
Yeah.
Also, that needs to be done. Buying from within a certain perimeter and so on.
Yes.
Good practices, water, electricity, all these things. So again, coming to that, what do you think would be a key thing somebody can start today? What can you start today? Is it like something you have to pull everything down and
in fact, there are many institutes.
What are there any ideas? Yeah.
Many institutes are there. I think Sanjay also can talk about it. Institutes are there already in India. I will not name, I'm not promoting any institute here. I think they can definitely start this sessions, there is ample knowledge, like Shamid also mentioned, there are many architects are there definitely, who has that knowledge. I think if that at least can be talked about in these sessions by these institutes, I think that's sufficient.
I think architectural associations are looking at this seriously, isn't it? But I think retail design, there are associations getting formed, and I think they need to look at this, like the Retail Design Institute, which is again putting all these
why not?
retail designers
That can be
together.
thought.
They probably need, along with RAI. I think RAI also has got a this
There
platform.
need to be some formal structure or body behind it, where similar to, let's say, the Green Building Council or LEED, how they are certifying, maybe there has to be a focused effort on interiors, fit out, retail spaces, where one can outline what are the measures which define a truly sustainable space, and even certify or give ratings based on that. So that way, even the end user or the client or even the customer knows, okay, I am walking into a brand who has scored 9 out of 10, on sustainability. So it's putting like a very clear metric against your efforts. I think that could be a good point. But I'll also go back to what you said, what can we do today? I think there are very simple things. One is spend a little bit more time on planning, because without spending more time, more cost on your fit out, you can select smarter material, you can reuse fixtures as what Shyam was suggesting. You can also look at what is the best way of doing fit out in terms of which is the most energy efficient, most least wasteful. So better planning could be one, better sourcing is second, try and reuse as much as possible is the third. I think these are very easy fixes.
I think Shyam also mentioned sometime talking about electrified fixtures. That they are also quite, electrified fixtures also help you reuse. Is there something you'd like
Yeah,
to?
I think electrified fixtures is helping us to save lighting. Generally, if you look at it, what we use, the lumens per square feet, what we look at it, that gets saved a lot because you are directly lighting the product under the shelf. So external lighting requirement dramatically comes down. So almost you can save about 30% of electricity overall in the store, what you use per day, because most of the stores run for almost close to 10 to 12 hours every day, and per month the consumption of electricity is very high. So in every aspect, small things can be seen to how we can save, and also that leads to sustainability. One is operational benefit for the brand, and two is also benefit for the earth.
So ambient light you want to reduce?
Yeah, ambient light or focused light basically. For example,
Accent light.
Yeah.
So interestingly, in one company where I worked with, they said no money for BMS, producing electricity. So we went, opened all the digital, all the our DBs, looked at the panels and color coded the switches, and trained the security staff that Subha, when you come, green switch. After 11 o'clock, switch the orange switch. Sham ko 4 baje, you switch the red switch. And so then that also helped kind of bring down the electricity by 15-20%, and over 150 stores. That is a huge bit of money.
That's a manual.
Yeah, manual. But then the guy was, you give him, incentivize him, it gets done. So one doesn't necessarily, you want to do it, you can do it right now. That's the way it is, yeah. So, so with that, we end this discussion. Is great. I mean, we went through saying what is happening, walk the talk is something that we need to do. I think we need to want to do it top down. So if we are in positions of, positions of authority, positions of taking decision, it's very important we start looking at it in a practical way. Not say that, okay, I'm going to give 30% budget, nobody's going to ensure that. By doing little things which will probably add up to make this planet a better place to live in. 13.5 million stores in India start doing that. You can imagine the kind of benefits that we're going to have straight away. Yeah. So, thank you very much. If there are any questions here, we're ready to take questions.
Yeah, any questions?
Yes.
Sorry, this is Prasad from Apollo Pharmacies projects. So we are refurbishing the outlets of 4,000 numbers, which is the plan for in another 2 years. So I just struck with sustainability as you are discussing. So maybe entire flooring has to be refurbished, which is a big element of extracting the existing floor and then relaying. And entire infits, my company is almost like a 4 decades company. All designs were from the 30 plus years designs. I can't reuse as Mr. Sham told. So any ideas you can give us? Sorry. Maybe Mr. Sham.
You just got a client, Sham.
I think a systematic evaluation has to be done to check, because all your stores will not be 3-4 decades old, right? I mean, few of them will be 2 years old. Sorry? Okay. So even in that, for example, how we treat heritage buildings, I'm just giving an example, may not be fully relevant, but how we treat heritage buildings and try to retain their original character and still make them look new or fresh, that is one approach what we can look at. So as I told you, we can evaluate stores, check in what categories or what buckets they fall into. One is like completely dilapidated stores, obviously need to be reworked and renewed, but stores which are at least decent enough, I think those can be kind of upgraded to ensure that even if 50% of material can be reused or 50% of existing stuff can be used, that's good enough. One is it's a cost saving to the company, saving of time. 3 is you're adding that much more to the planet, means by not throwing that to the garbage thing. Because end of the day, everything goes into landfills and takes huge amount of time to decay.
There are also a lot of flooring options available, as in, since you were talking about flooring, there are a lot of options. Of course, it has to be specific to the condition of the store and, but there are a lot of options where you don't need to, let's say, remove your floor and, completely relay a new floor.
For the premium retail, yeah, it is surely I have been explored as well. So multiple companies, I should not be named here. So, but for my rural, I think where Apollo Pharmacy is, even it is like a 5,000 populated village, we are there, surely, in the South India predominantly. So there, it should be like a rugged environment. So I'm just stuck with that.
So there's one more thing which we did, when I was in Mahindra, about 10 stores had to be shut. So all the furniture, which we tied up with the, the second-hand furniture dealers, so it could be reused. So we did that. And then we replaced with much leaner furniture, which are using lesser material. Sometimes you don't throw it away, you make sure that it's carefully, so we carefully got it removed and gave it to him, so he reconditioned it and sold it, because they're basically storage units are there, tables are there, things like that. And gondolas and others gave it to a fixture manufacturer. He kind of refurbished them and gave it back. So it requires some effort, but if your purpose is to reuse it, maybe you don't reuse it, somebody else reuses. So that's good, that is sustainable.
We are waiting for, so we are just storing all the things.
I think it's worth, just one. I think it's worth keeping that material. I'm doing some similar project where we have supplied some 20,000 workstations. Now the client is saying 800 to 900 workstations are lying idle from 3 years. We are not using it. So we are taking back that, refurbishing and putting them as a new to them again. Leaving back the metal, which is anyway recyclable, boards which are not, but we are putting back into the system now. So you can segregate exactly in your store what is that material, okay, whether it's just the metal or it's just the boards or what, you need to segregate that and then think about how you'll put that into the system. Yeah.
Almost 70% we have been already reusing, 30% is like a upgraded design versions. That is going to be a waste of my asset. the 30% is only the question for me.
Make sure somebody else
The
uses it.
Yeah, you should do to
That's
see
what-
what is that 30% material.
Yeah, that's one thing, and then biggest is the tile, the floor. Whenever we are removing, so it's going lot of debris into the society.
You don't have to remove the
You
tiles.
don't even need to.
Tiles you don't have to remove. For example, today you have solutions like micro cement concrete.
Adhesives,
And
ah.
no. Don't have to do anything. Don't have to relay the tiles also. Just use micro cement concrete in whatever color you want, pigment it and use it. And it is extremely rugged and it's outdoor material. So you can use micro cement concrete on your existing tiles. Since it's most of the store is, this is not a high traffic store like any other retail format. So I think it can be easily used.
Sure, maybe we'll talk offline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for being a patient audience and be sitting through this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sudhir
Thank you.
and Sanjay.
Thanks, Sudhir.